All right, let's find out who is a stranger and who is paradise, or whatever is going to happen now that we're into this part of the game. You can't really hear it right now? Well, I'll bump it up a little bit. I think this game's a bit quieter than I thought.
I have no memory of this place. White walls, white floors.
So yes, hello Trash Man Sam and
Honestly, I
Pansy
find it
Zombie.
unsettling.
We got White Wolfos dancing in the chat already before it even
I
starts.
know that. Let's find Astos.
All right, what are my jobs? I think I got Ninja and Assassin going again. I don't know who I'll pick at this point. I've off screen made sure that every job is at least in the 20s. Oh, except for Duelist, but that's a basic job, so who cares? I have been using Dark Knight to clear out some lower level missions. It's a lot more fun when you don't have to worry so much about taking lots of damage. It's something I've realized by playing Paladin and Dark Knight is that Dark Knight, because it's so risky, I guess, because you do just shred your own health playing this, it's a lot easier to maintain MP than the Paladin is. With Paladin, you're just losing MP non-stop, I guess because you get some healing. Do I know how much is left? Not exactly. Someone on the chat last time said this might be the last session, but I'm not so sure about that because by my count, there's at least 3 Final Fantasy levels left to do, and then whatever the actual finale is. Because there still hasn't been a Final Fantasy 6, Final Fantasy 15, and this is the Final Fantasy 11 level. So that's 3 at least. But we'll see. But yeah, the game may be finished this week at least, because I'll be streaming it again tomorrow, unless something happens. So yeah, Sage is at cap, so I kind of want to do something that will get me levels at least. I guess I shouldn't be so fixated on doing basic jobs, but Okay, I really should give Ninja and Assassin more time. In fact, so actually, I guess I should start off with there were in the off-screen missions there were several Fool's Missives because the game unlocked a bunch of side missions which give advanced jobs to all your party members. So in addition to getting an advanced job for everyone, I got 2 for Jed? Yeah, Jed. So everyone has these like real jobs now. They've got Tyrant, Sage, Assassin. Jed can also be a ninja. So I assume there's going to be more and more to unlock in that way. But yeah, in addition to that, because yeah, you unlock these by doing boss rematches where they're ramped up to level 80 something, and alongside it you get Fool's Missives. So, okay, yeah, okay, the 4 are still marked. Okay, so I'll read them in reverse, I suppose. The Fiend of Water. In a previous loop, he told me that unlike the others, he was a mere commoner, or its equivalent. Perhaps some arcane social intricacies up there I dare not theorize about are to blame. But from what I saw of him, his abilities and rank put him on equal footing with the other strangers. Still, he persisted in debasing himself. Now, for a man beguiled by strength like him, having such a prime specimen of pure power always near at hand must have contributed to his inferiority complex. Then again, it must be hard to see your own worth when your peers are prodigies too. That must have fueled the resentment that he drowned in as he lay dying, and what triggered his transformation into Kraken, Fiend of Water. Ironically, this very transformation is what proves beyond a doubt that he was equal to any of his peers. So yeah, we're getting into the actual origins of the Fiends at this point. Which, I mean, I think it was always pretty clear that they became them, but it seems like they actually became them in different timelines. And then, yeah, it mentioned in another Fool's Missive that the crystals are beyond time. They continue to persist even as cycles loop. So I'm going to assume that applies to the regular crystals too. So these are previous versions of these characters who are persisting throughout time via the crystals. Alright. Once upon a time, a friend of mine was driven by a conviction so strong it could put fear into the hearts of the gods themselves. A man looked up to him, and my friend in turn trusted this man with his life. This man, well, the thing he feared the most was losing his companions, and one in particular most of all. Not just because he had faith in him, no, but because there was some great deed he was destined to do. And so this man strove to become strong enough to protect everyone he cared about. He failed. So both he and his friends lay dead by the wayside, their bones destined to rot in the sand, or so it was to be, until the ball of sorrow and regret that was this man's soul linked with the darkness inside the earth crystal and transformed his remains into Lich, fiend of earth. The arrogant masters of their gilded halls knew not of this, for you see, I kept this particular tidbit of information from them for the sake of our plan. Lich is Anakin? I guess. I'm pretty sure it's Ash. The only one I'm not 100% sure on is who Neon is, because she's an outsider, so I'm not sure what exactly is going on with her. Once upon a time, there was a girl who prayed with all her might to become Chaos. Her prayers were answered when she made a deal with certain parties she befriended. With newly acquired Dark Crystal in hand, she let rage devour her, and in the instant before death took her, the emotions and darkness gathered within the Fire Crystal reached out and took her hand. Thus, the girl was reborn as Marilith, Fiend of Fire, also known as Carrie. Ahem. Storytelling aside, it appears the Dark Crystals are indeed the trigger. It was thought the darkness and emotional energy alone were enough, but only the torrent of memories held by one with powerful will links their heart to a Dark Crystal can chaos emerge. Strange to think that while my erstwhile masters fear the notion of chaos, it is by their own hand that they shape the conditions from which it forms. How amusingly awkward for them. He wrote the word ahem? Yeah. Either that or this is meant to be like a data recording of some sort. Like just text-to-speech or something. Once upon a time, there was a woman who wished above all else to save the world. Her empathy was her torment, and soon her days were spent consumed with hatred for her own powerlessness, and for the cruel masters who had created her miserable world. Alas, naught awaited her but a pointless and violent end. With her last breath, she cursed this unjust existence, and lo, her bitterness reached out and joined hands with the dark emotions swirling within a darkening crystal. And she was reborn as a manifestation of pure malice, Tiamat, Fiend of Wind. In their gilded halls, the Lufenians frowned at this most unfortunate turn of events. Since that day, she was no longer permitted to return, and yet a hatred as powerful as hers could not be silenced. And no matter how many times the world begins anew, she endures, brooding, rancorous, loaded with raw hatred. So yeah, this is what makes me think that the fiends have basically become a cosmic is that what it was? A cosmic constant, I guess. Like they continue to exist as they are with each new cycle, which also means that they're basically given an eternity for their feelings to fester and basically make more darkness or whatever. Tiamat, an empath. I can somehow sense Jack doesn't like chaos. See, that's the thing. It's important to have an empath on your team for these kinds of things. Alright, I guess I'll at least optimize my equipment back up. I do like going for max affinity as high as possible, but it's better to do this to level up jobs I'm not using. Like, the high affinity abilities are nice. I really do like them. Oh well. seething to make themselves more angry. Yeah, basically, like the idea basically seems to be that
Let's be quick.
these characters go through like repeated things of just horrible trauma and like brutal, meaningless deaths, all in a cycle for the Lufenians to figure something out. So like, yeah, no, they're in pretty bad shape across the board, and like if I assume that there's gonna be a thing where they get their memories back, and it's like, oh, wow, this is terrible. Let's become the Four Fiends and Chaos. That's way better than whatever else we're gonna do. Oh damn, no.
Keep your head up straight, Jack.
Forgot these are real brutal enemies. No. Oh god, that was brutal. I gotta get back into the swing of things. At least I'll get some better gear by fighting these enemies, even if they're brutal for now. Hey Marvin, how's it going? I'm just trying to get my muscle memory back for this game. I've been playing easier content, so I've been able to just like smash through things using Dark Knight and such. Which, by the way, the damage you can get on a Dark Knight once you actually don't have to worry about the fact that you'll instantly die if you screw up is really high. Which makes sense because if you get one brutal tackle in, you go down to 1 health. Like it does all of your health in damage because it's per hit. So multi-hit moves just wreck you. Oh yeah, and I got this now. I unlocked it on stream, but I'm finally actually using it. It's very fun to just throw things.
We're safe.
I hope you have fun at your next class,
Try
Marvin.
again?
A nuisance.
Let's make this entertaining.
Fists are so fun. I'm glad I'm using them again. Although axes just seem to be the best. I don't think anything can really compare.
Is that it?
Good job. Now on to the next.
Oh yeah, no, the new PS Plus thing. I mean, there's a good element to it of there is going to be PS1, and PS2 games and PSP games even available. No Vita games though. Vita likers BTFO.
Come on.
But
Trash to dispose of.
yeah, like that's all right, and like the price is not terrible, I guess. But then yeah, no, stuff like locking the demos behind it is pretty insane. Like that's a very Neo Sony idea. Well, it's not actually new. They did it with PlayStation Plus back on the PS3 too. They had trials that were limited time, and then you can just, you know, play the game for like an hour and then hopefully go buy it. But now you really have to pay for it. Like you have to pay $120 US. So, you know, hope you're willing to pay a premium for the privilege of playing a few hours of a video game. And then yeah, streaming PlayStation 3 games is real rough. Like, Sony really screwed up by having that whole cell processor. That was a terrible idea that did not pay off. Oop, ah.
Almost out of potions.
Number one cause of death in this game is enemies missing and then your soul guard not going off. Like sometimes it's intentional where enemies have really slow windups to fake you out, but sometimes they just miss.
Placing fire.
But yeah, like I think it'd at least be nice if people can play like Dissidia or something on their PS5 or maybe PS4. I don't know. But oh man, like there are some rough aspects to this. Yeah, no, it's really weird how Sony handled the PlayStation 2 games on the PS4, because they just gave up after a really short amount of time. Like, oh man. Oh, out of potions, really? But yeah, no, like, they had a decent back compat initiative. Well, not back compat, but they had a decent porting initiative with. Well, no, they had back compat on PS3. They had PlayStation 1 games. They had PlayStation 2 games. So yeah, there was that going at least. And then yeah, on PS4 they had select PS4 games or PS2 games ported and with trophy support. And then they just stopped doing that after a very short amount of time, and just massive swaths of content are just not available because of that method. Yeah, so that's really not ideal. Huh, this has like, what, a blip of health left? But yeah, no, so they had, yeah, the Jak and Daxter collection, but no actual PS4 Jak and Daxter game. And then, yeah, they didn't do Sly or Ratchet. Like, yeah, it's real backwards how they handled things. Nope.
I expect to be impressed.
Yeah, like, that's the thing, that's beyond anything, like, no matter how good or bad this service is, what worries me is that Sony has a long, storied history of doing something and then giving up at the first sign of not even resistance, just like, let's just stop forever. That's it, we're done. Like they just stopped doing PS2 games on PS4. They had those motion controls for a very short time that they didn't give up on. I feel like they don't really focus on their VR elements anymore. Like everything, because Sony is a very reactive company. They do things that their competition does, and then they just don't tend to really stick with it. Like this is obviously just their Game Pass response, but it's not quite Game Pass because like it doesn't have their newest games. But I always expected that. Like Sony or Microsoft can get away with not having the newest games on Game Pass because they don't have newest games. You're still losing it over Golbez being a wizard that summons attack drones. Oh yeah, so those attack drones you use in Dissidia, those are a boss. Like it's called a CPU. They're just big spheres that just use technology to attack you.
There are differences.
Oh, hello, Julian. Yeah, it is a lot like throwing the game after doing 20 seconds of a relay race. That is very Sony, I'd say. Oh. For once, I missed. These earth attacks are really funny because a lot of the time they just don't do anything. Probably use some of these ninja scrolls, I guess. Oh yeah, I use my infinite shurikens. It's actually really handy. Just a free projectile. Yeah, Golbez is one of my favorite interpretations of a villain in Dissidia. I like his whole Thaumaturge thing. Yo to you. Okay, what have I got? Anything better? Yes. Oh, that looks not terrible. Not a huge fan of the color, honestly, but I'm glad we're getting into like the actual gear with drip. All right. Oh, do I not have a thunder scroll? Weird. What strange selection of things. Okay, what else would water be weak to? Earth, maybe? But maybe not? Let me backhand you into this attack that would miss otherwise. Yeah, that's what I love about him. All of his attacks are multi-stage. Should I use an elemental thing and risk it, or should I just use a Film Shuriken? Okay, that wasn't super great. Oh god, I'm so low on health. I really need like a scroll that just heals me. Oh yes, thing I was saying earlier, but I got distracted in some way. Oh yeah, so Assassin. I've actually bothered to use its mechanic now. I did it against the rematch against Lich, and basically what it does is you get an extra hit for every critical hit you landed on them, and that means that you can do some like insane damage. I did about, I'd say 2/3 of Lich's health bar with one assassinate because I just got so many crits. It was insane. Like, it's a really strong move if you just build up some crits. Oh. Ah.
Can't be.
Alright, time to run past some enemies now. Yeah, honestly, speaking of Dissidia in general, like, I really want them to just take all the assets they have from Dissidia NT, because they worked on this. It's another joint Square Enix Koei Tecmo thing. So I want them to just take all the animations and models and stuff they have, and then just put as many Final Fantasy boss fights as they can in as DLC or whatever. I don't really care what specifically. Like, on previous streams I've mentioned how I think you're gonna fight Gilgamesh, but like, put in Kefka and Golbez and everyone that you can possibly fit in. Like, put in Sephiroth. Everyone wants to fight Sephiroth. Okay, I feel like Double Dragon Combo has more to it than missing. Oh, that supersonic wave is so rough. Oh yeah, so a habit I've really got to get into doing is when you get broken, I just gotta switch jobs. I know people have mentioned that several times, but I really, like, I'm nearing the end of the game, I'm sure. So I've got to really get that habit down, because it's a big fail-safe. Uh-oh. Yeah, like, I want Golbez to backhand Jack into his magic attack.
By a sword's breath.
It's important, I
We
think.
need to patch ourselves up.
Yeah, Sephiroth is kind of impossibly cool, but that's like the kind of thing is that the game spends a lot of time just hyping him up. Ah, I got hit. Fists are another risky setup that, like, if I could, I would be using it all the time because when you actually manage to get a hit in, I mean, then, yeah, no, you do some, wow, it's like, I'm doing nothing. Like, do you see, oh, is he, oh my god, these things are healing it, damn it. These water and earth and whatever guys are like some of the most deceptively annoying enemies because they just go around buffing everyone. God, that's such a satisfying move to use. I wish you could grab the bigger enemies. I hope that there's a train at some point you can use it on. I really do like that Lucaria Oro Fist too. It's really nice. Okay, is it basically... Is it safe to break it now? Uh-oh.
We must help Jack.
Oh wow, down and out. You're free from Elden Ring? Nice. Just in time for some more Souls-like.
A nuisance.
I don't know what you're referring to that I did not retreat but instead tagged you in, but
Next.
that does sound like something I would do. But yeah, like there is that whole iconic thing with Sephiroth where it's like, did Sephiroth do this? And it's a Midgar Zolom that's impaled on like a spike. So, you know. Like he is meant to be like that, like the archetype of a badass. Like he's supposed to be like the legendary hero that everyone wants to be, literally in universe. Like Cloud says he wants to go and become a soldier just like the hero Sephiroth. Although it's really funny, like there's the extra little bit of context of Sephiroth where he's a war hero. Like the soldiers are famous in the world of Final Fantasy VII because they subjugated Wutai. Like, that's the thing. Like, Zack gets his claim to fame to get promoted to soldier first class because of how well he does in suppressing the Wutai remnants. Like, it's kind of insane how that part of Final Fantasy just kind of gets glossed over. Like, I guess it's not very prevalent in the original Final Fantasy VII until you get to Yuffie's part of the game. But still, like, it's wild. Like, how, like, that's what a hero is in that world. Oh my god, more horses. I guess I got my tools back. I should use another Fuma Shuriken. Oh god, oh god. Oh my god. Okay, I've been having more and more camera issues as time goes on. I keep getting stuff like this, where it's like, yeah, no, Jack's just not here anymore. Yeah, everything calls Sephiroth a hero. Even in Kingdom Hearts, where he's a different character, his profile says he is a hero from the past, or long ago, or whatever.
In my sights.
There's one.
I expect
Wow,
to
that
be
did not do
impressed.
much. Yeah, I mentioned this last time too, but enemies are doing like insane break damage now. Basically every hit I feel is breaking me at this point. Like yeah, that did about 70% of my break gauge. I guess that's really why I need to figure out how to switch jobs regularly, instead of just doing it when I want to use their moves.
We've got a hard road ahead of us.
Just keep hitting them. Dead yet.
Our defenses falter.
God, yeah, this is not going ideal. Oh my god.
It isn't over yet.
Can't be.
Yeah, the horses are probably my least favorite enemy to fight. Like the like big ogre types, I do really bad against them, but they have gigantic tells. But the horses just feel like they just spray stuff all over the place.
Let's be quick.
Come on, follow me.
Okay, so I've gotten some decent critical hits in. Now let's see what Assassinate does.
Keep it together.
Oh, I don't have an EMP, damn it. Well, there goes that. But yeah, no, Assassinate, when you get enough critical hits wrapped up, it does some serious
Well
damage.
done. Not an example I want to follow.
Ah,
This doesn't bode well. We've had worse than this. Stay on your toes.
yeah, I need to take care of these guys first every time, basically.
Better tread careful.
This isn't even the actual Tombre move, but it still feels real rough to fight. Oh my god, another horse! I feel like that's like the way that these games fall apart every single time is, okay, I think I got a stalk on every enemy in the room. Oh no, another thing!
Are you keeping track of your potions?
I have to take it slow.
The biggest thing I do pick up on this game's enemy design is that they are very much focused on you not doing something immediately again. Like, if you repeat yourself, you are just going to die. Like, if you get hit by the enemy's first attack, you need to be dodging next, because if you attack again, they are going to have a follow-up attack that hits you. And that's just the way it is. Like, it's very much punishing for
Expect to be
being
impressed.
predictable. Also punishing you for daring to fight against a horse.
Strength is sealed off.
Okay, now let's try an assassination. Oh, that wasn't that much. There is no way to actually keep track of how many crits have built up in the debuff. So that's not annoying. Or not, that is annoying, sorry. Because almost everything else does show the stacks. But the crit, it just shows that they've been afflicted by crits. It doesn't show how many they've actually gotten in. Oh my god, what's happening to it? It was full of chaos. Yum. Yeah, but in this way, actually, I think that fists are definitely something you have to be using when you know how the enemies work, and the formations of enemies in this case, too. 'Cause it's not just that the horses are annoying, it's that there's like 5 other enemies. Well, I only got 1 crit in. Ugh. Like, I guess you have to be counting it, but that's not really practical when you're using something as fast as the gloves. Fists, you know what I mean. Well, that red built up for once, I should use that. And that'll be my fatal mistake.
I think we're safe.
Oh,
So,
nope, it's gone.
what now?
I lost it at some point. I get shredded by single encounters in this place. Like, this is a gigantic increase in difficulty. It's kind of insane. Ah.
Can't be.
Yeah, I mean, there are games where it's designed so you can handle having lots of stuff going on. Like, Warriors games are very much that.
Let's be quick.
Come on, follow me.
Like, if you have good AoE stuff, or you have good mobility, or you have good ways to tell when enemies are doing stuff, there's not really much of an issue. But I feel like this game is definitely one of those action games that's way more suited to solo fights. That's actually how I feel about 15 as well, since you mentioned it. Like, I think that... wow! Yeah, like 15, I think when you get into some actual solo fights, it's pretty good. Because it's just a lot of, like, reacting to enemies and stuff. And the human enemies tend to have better tells than the monsters. So, like, the random little campsite battles and stuff you can do, those, I think, work pretty well. Let's see how that lightning missed, so I just wasted my soul gauge. Yeah, no, the break gauge is such a problem because if you almost always get stunned if you get hit twice, and that just means you get another hit. Like, you get hit again.
Got some tea.
We've had worse than this.
Look how long it took for the hitbox. Look. Oh man.
Your mission isn't over yet.
Can't be.
This is disastrous. I think this might be the difficulty spike I was warned about before the game even came out. Alright, I got some new pants on. Hopefully that'll help.
Let's be quick.
Yeah, like I genuinely don't know how to deal with the horses. Like, just flat out. Even the older, less difficult ones, I just don't really know. Because they do stuff so fast. They don't have, like, much in the way of openings. Like, they're doing something again after a successful guard pretty much every time.
Now's your chance.
Like, the solution actually for everything in this game is to be aggressive. Like, seeing there, like, I was able to get the break gauge down really fast. So, like, that does work. I can just do that. But being aggressive in this game is really risky. So... yeah, so that was like 90% of my break gauge right there.
Watch it carefully.
Oh, free MP. When did the Sea Devil get here?
Hurry up, try it on. You gotta sink in, baby. Victory is still within reach.
Not dead yet.
We must help Jack.
Okay.
I think another part of this is that I am trying to use the ninja and assassin, which are just not things I've gelled with this entire game, but I've got to level them all up.
Any potions left?
For mistakes.
Yeah, like if I at least had Sage going, then I could heal, like I could use Cura, since I have all this MP anyways. But it's at level cap, so I don't want to use that necessarily. But that's just that's just a problem with how I play games, really. I'm always the person who doesn't specialize and just does everything. I know roughly how to play every character in Smash Ultimate, as opposed to really specifying anyone.
That was quick.
Oh, this red move is real good, though. Real good.
Well done. Not an example I want to follow. Overall ready?
Yeah, 15's combat is definitely limp. Like, something I've said since the start was that in 15, the damage that you do, or not the damage you do, the recoil enemies have is off by like a tier. Like, enemies flinch if you have a heavy weapon, but the heavy weapons in 15 are so slow that it should be like that, the flinch they have should be what you get from basic like normal swords, and the great swords should be sending the enemies flying, because the windup is like a full second sometimes. Sometimes I think even more than a second, because that game is so slow. So it's definitely lopsided in that way. I guess I'll just go back to the save point and then run past the enemies here. Okay, wait, I think I missed a few comments. 1 second. Oh, are you explaining Dissidia? Hold on. Don't know much about Dissidia besides NT not being very good. Yeah, no, NT is real rough. It's insane because it has so much less content than the PSP games, despite being on the PS4. Like, it's insane. But yeah, Dissidia is the best fighting game, I'd say. Like, Dissidia Duodecim has, like, so much quality content. It's kind of insane. It is the standard I measure other fighting games by. Because, like, there's a campaign for every character from Final Fantasy 1 to 10. There is an additional campaign in Duodecim for the new characters they added. There are, like, reports like in Kingdom Hearts, but with actual cutscenes and battles associated with it. There is multiple post-game campaigns. There's like other like non-story modes, like there's like a labyrinth mode where you can apply job effects to your characters. Like you get things like if you have white mage and you heal after battles, that kind of thing, and you try and go as deep as you can to get more treasure, because this game has a gear system too. And you level up every character and get more abilities for them and stuff like that. Yeah, it is a shame there's no villain campaign in Dissidia, but they do have like no excuse to level up the villains because they wouldn't be fighting against mannequins. But it would be nice, but you know, it's a lot of content too. Like, Dissidia's single player content is probably at least, if not even including the post-game grindy stuff, just the main stuff is probably about 40 hours. Like, it's pretty insane how much there is going on in that game. And then, yeah, got a great roster, feels great to play. It's a lot like Kingdom Hearts. Like, yeah, like, I haven't played a ton of arena brawlers, but they always, like, they have, like, the aesthetic down where they make things look good and they have a satisfying smash to them when you hit things. But Dissidia actually feels mechanically satisfying to play in addition to feeling good. It is very slow. Like, I know a lot of people who are really, like, more into fighting games don't like how it is a very slow-paced game that's very predictable. What else is there? Like, honestly, you should just play it 'cause it's really good. Like, if you like any Final Fantasy characters from 1 to 13 at all, then there's probably something for you in this game. Like, even the tutorials are great. They're some of my favorites in any game because they're all written from the perspective of other Final Fantasy characters. What's a good example? Like, oh, actually, the best example is not even actual, like, not a specific tutorial, but there's a thing where they give, like, synopsises of how to play different characters and, like, a bit of history about them and stuff, and it's like, it'll be like a breakdown of, like, oh, this is Cloud, but it's written from the perspective of Penelo from Final Fantasy 12, and she's like, oh, Cloud is so overrated. He's not interesting at all. He's like not interested, more like not interesting. But Cloud has these abilities and stuff like that. But then that's what she says in Dissidia. But then when you get to Duodecim and is doing a whole another version of these, she's become a Cloud fangirl. It's really great. And then, yeah, there's also like a thing where there's like a newsletter written from the perspective of Selphie from Final Fantasy VIII, who does like a newsletter in the world of Final Fantasy VIII itself. And she's talking about how she sucks at Dissidia and is trying to figure out stuff. And she gets like, she gives you like tips on how to beat the Chaos boss and stuff like that. It's real good. And this is just random tutorials. You don't even have to engage with this aspect. But just everything about the game is immaculate, in my humble opinion.
Now then.
So, what now?
Like, I said at the start of this stream, like the very beginning of the Stranger of Paradise thing, I love all the anniversary Final Fantasy games. I love Dissidia, I love World of Final Fantasy, and then yeah, I'm really loving this too. Like, I love this kind of stuff because it's kind of weird, it's kind of different, but it's also just really good and content rich and fun and unique and cool, and they have lots of fan service. It's just good. Oh yeah, and in Dissidia, every character has something to them that is like their focus. So like, yeah, like Marvin's saying, with Sephiroth, his attacks, they're very simple, but what really is unique about them is that if you attack them, that he does like a slash, but if you let them sit, then he'll do that thing where after he does his slash, then it does those anime wind slashes, and the longer you wait, the more of those you'll get, so he does more damage that way. But if you wait too long, then you'll miss the timing for the combo and get ruined.
Everyone's heard of it. The stories say it started as a tiny village, looked down upon by the great kingdom of Cornelia. That through some sorcery or science, it soon overshadowed its neighbor. It prospered, thanks to strange devices that served without question, and fearsome instruments of war. Conflict broke out between the nations, and continued seemingly without end.
Hey, we're getting some Lufenian lore finally. Alright. Okay, so almost every Gigas type attack is red, but I gotta block the other obvious ones, like that. Except see, then it goes and attacks a party member and I miss. Like, it's such a problem, legitimately. Wow, these things have like no break resistance. Like one combo, it seems, is always taking them out.
Good job. Now on to the next.
Okay, wait, which way do they come from? Is this? Yeah. No? No, that's the way forward. Okay. Did I get turned around again? Is there more than one route? I got turned around, that's all. I mean, yeah, Julian, honestly, that's pretty normal. Like, I played... I mean, okay, technically I played Final Fantasy before I played Kingdom Hearts, but I got into Final Fantasy after I got into Kingdom Hearts, because Kingdom Hearts was the thing that really looked appealing to me. And I think I've got the weirdest angle with Kingdom Hearts, because I'm not a huge fan. I haven't seen most old Disney movies, but I also wasn't really familiar with Final Fantasy. Like, I interacted with Cloud through Kingdom Hearts well before I played Final Fantasy VII. I wish Gravedigger let me lift up anything. I want to do a suplex on a Malboro. This looks sus.
What's the plan? Search for another route? Jump down the scary hole?
Alright, search for another route, because I can't go back up. What was that? Not the biggest FF historian, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I really do love Final Fantasy, so I really got into it after, like, but I got in late. Like, my first Final Fantasy game was Final Fantasy 2 on the SNES, but I was too young to absorb anything from that. So, that doesn't count. Yeah, then I played Final Fantasy 4DS and Final Fantasy 13 at roughly the same time, more or less. I played 4DS first because I didn't get a PS3 right away, but yeah. So I have super weird entry point into Final Fantasy in general, and I haven't been there since the start. I am not a fan who has been riding this franchise since its inception. Like, yeah, no, I got in late, real late. And yeah, because of that, I am nowhere near as unreasonable about Final Fantasy 13 as the old fans are. Because, like, a lot of takes about Final Fantasy 13 are just completely nonsense and unreasonable, just to put it bluntly. It's based on reality. It's not anything that's in the text of the game. It's just stuff people made up during 7th gen. Your first actual Final Fantasy game was Dirge of Cerberus in 2020. So actually, I rented Dirge of Cerberus way back in the day, and I couldn't get past the first level because I couldn't wrap my head around shooting mechanics. That's how, like, unfamiliar I was with other genres. Because I was a Nintendo kid very much growing up. I didn't get a Sony system until around when the PS3 launched, and I got a PS2. So, like, yeah, I was very much the classic thing of, like, oh, well, obviously, I don't want to play those dumb, bad other games that other companies make, because Nintendo is the one who makes all the good stuff. Everyone else they only care about violence and graphics, but Nintendo, they don't care about violence or graphics. They just put inordinate amounts of effort into the aesthetic of their most successful franchises. Yeah, it is pretty rough that your mainline Final Fantasy was 15, Marvin. That's not the best entry point, despite the fact that the game starts with a thing saying a Final Fantasy for fans and first-timers. Ooh, orange. Ugh. Yeah, wait. That portal probably takes me to a cube, so I should play this safe. I don't want to lose my progress again. Oh. MP, please. I'm actually at cap. I'm surprised I've been maintaining my MP considering how hard this location is.
A win is a win.
I don't know if I describe Mario as psychotic. Fool's Missive 30 Jack 2? As in Jack 2, where the main character, Jack, says he's going to kill Praxis? Are the connections really coming together? There is a fairy tale that is well known, a story of heroes who wield the holy power of light to banish the vile darkness. The people hail them as saviors, showering them with honor and affection, giving them a noble appellation, the warriors of light. Of course, it's a load of hogwash, a fable cooked up by ignorant fools who cling to the idiotic fantasies while remaining blind to reality. I've seen this story play out 1,000 times and it bores me. The dim-witted masses work themselves into a frenzy of hope. When their impossible expectations are not met, they sink into the depths of despair. What follows is condemnation, hatred, and inevitable betrayal. The true nature of a man. A pretty thing, isn't it? Yet despite all of this, my dear friend still wishes to protect this world. Though, no, that is misleading. Salvation is a mere side effect. What he does is not for the sake of some noble ideal. No, his motivations are pure. Hatred and rage. Yeah, no, he wants to kill chaos. Man, that reminds me. Final Fantasy IV was my first ever introduction to a, like, kind of... I don't know if I'd say it's necessarily a Japanese ideal, like, that's in their narratives, but it was the first time I've ever experienced a story where they talked about the virtues of rage. Because there's a point where a character is grieving over... like the loss of their family, and the villain is taunting them, saying like, oh, you can never defeat me with rage, it's a weakness. And then the character goes, you think my rage is a weakness? And then I forget, the line's pretty raw, but I forget how it goes, but it's like, let me show you how something something rage something something. And then he gets a bunch of new power, and that was really like, that really changed my perspective on stories back in the day, because I had never experienced something like that. Like, I'm so used to stories where rage is just a negative thing that makes things worse. And the idea of, like, righteous fury actually being something that lets you overcome something is really, like, well, it's not unique, but it's unique when you're a little kid playing it. Mario's homophobic? I mean,
I never finished
I
my
guess.
story about the Lufenians. There's not much left. Cornelia was populous and strong. Yet year after year they lost ground to Lufenia. It was then, when the Cornelians, weary of war and on the verge of breaking, that without any warning, Lufenia vanished.
Vanished?
Poof. The stories say no trace of their civilization remained.
No way.
Don't look at me. It's just an old legend. No one knows how much of it is true.
Yeah, so I played all of Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 on the PlayStation 3/PSP Classics thing, and then I actually have a long history of losing Final Fantasy save files. I've lost Final Fantasy 5, 8, 13. I lost the save file like 4 times, I think. No, 3 times. I lost 6, 7, I think maybe 12, but maybe not. But I've lost a lot of Final Fantasy save files. So, like, I've never beaten Final Fantasy 8, for example, because I got to the very final level and then lost the save, and I was playing very thoroughly. I was doing one of those insane runs where your characters are doing 9,999 damage by the, like, early part of Disc 1. Righteous Fury rocks hard. True, I agree. But yeah, so, like, yeah, I on my PS2, after I got into Kingdom Hearts, I also got Final Fantasy X, so that was another early Final Fantasy game I played. I played a lot of Final Fantasy games back to back to back. Same with Zelda, actually. I got into Majora's Mask and Oracle of Seasons at the same time. But anyways, where was I going with this? Shoot, I completely lost my where I was actually going with my point. Are Dark Knights righteous? It depends. Sometimes Dark Knight is just a job. Like, Cecil is tainted by being a Dark Knight in Final Fantasy IV, and he has to redeem himself by climbing a mountain. Versus like in Final Fantasy III, it's just a job, as far as I know. And I'm pretty sure it's just, I think it's a job in 5. I always forget which jobs are Game Boy Advance exclusive. Oh yeah, so we're, yeah, Game Boy Advance, right. I played Final Fantasy VI on the Game Boy Advance via an emulator well before I played any other Final Fantasy game, and I got decently far. And then yeah, I lost my save file. So that's actually my like earliest semi-cognizant interaction with Final Fantasy. But I didn't internalize much from that either. Although it was, Final Fantasy VI was the first game I remember making me cry. And then also Crisis Core made me cry. And Final Fantasy 13 too made me cry. Alright. I'm gonna try and take out this Tomberry. Wish me luck.
Be ready for anything.
Well. I'm playing this so riskless. Okay, wait, am I not? Yeah, no, I've got Fuma Shurikens going. Why am I not doing much to them? Like, should I be charging it up? What's going on? Why did that one basic attack do so much more damage than a Fuma Shuriken? Yeah, no, like, it's supposed to do multiple hits, isn't it? Why did it did 1 before and 2 then? Okay, now I'm out of scrolls, so...
Okay.
Like, one bad move and this is over, though, because it's a Tomberry. See? See? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. No. Okay, use Hush. Tomberries in this game are so mean. It's kind of insane.
I'll remember that.
Oh! I always forget those things can go backwards. Hello, Rose Polyantha. How's it going? Yeah. I don't know if I'd say Tomberries or those horses are tougher, honestly. Oh man, I'm all the way back here. Alright, I got a lot of backtracking to do, it seems. Luckily, I'm glad it's so easy to run past enemies in this game. I say as the horses zeroes in on me.
Looks like it'll work.
Oh yeah, I never did jump down that hole, did I? I guess I should try that. It's so hard, like, I'm just thinking about how this is a Final Fantasy XI location and how I know, like, nothing about Final Fantasy XI besides what shows up in spin-off games. And I feel like I'm missing out a lot, because there's clearly a lot of love for this, but, like, I just don't get any of it. And it's so hard now, because, like, I'm not going to play a 2000s era MMO.
We got this.
That's insane. You can't expect that out of me. But watching the cutscenes is rough, too. So there's just no winning. Huh, this was nothing, was it? Not anything of value? Yeah, nothing whatsoever, okay. Well, that was a waste. This level is super confusing and it's accurate to Final Fantasy XI, great! Awesome, looking forward to it. Well, I've already been in it. I've had more trouble with the enemies than I have with the layout, honestly. It's been pretty straightforward so far.
Now then.
So, what now?